everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our podcast.
In today's podcast, we're covering the live-action film, Ramen Shop.
Now, this movie was recommended originally to us by Playmaker, and we couldn't find it anywhere. We looked online, and he couldn't either. So, wonderfully, he gave it to us as a gift for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And it follows a young Japanese man who travels to Singapore to learn the secrets left by his late mother through her recipes.
Yes. And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, for notification buttons for future podcasts and more pause videos.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for joining us and your support. We really appreciate it.
Yes.
So quickly, I'm going to read you the back of the case. And the case we have is actually a drawing, and you think the movie is animated, but it's actually live action, we mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Ramen Shop tells the story of a young ramen chef, Masato, played by Takumi Saito, from 13 Assassins, who leaves his home and family's ramen shop in Japan after his father dies in search of his mother's family and the recipes she left behind in Singapore. There he traces a culinary path of delicious signature dishes to find his estranged family across the sea. With the help of the food blogger Milky, played by Japanese pop star Seiko Matsuda, he learns the recipes of his mother's homeland and the way to his grandmother's heart. So, it's pretty accurate in how it describes the film.
Yes.
But it's not cut and dry the way that it sounds. It's actually very moving. In some places, in some parts, it's actually almost heartbreaking. In some parts, it's heartwarming.
Mm-hmm.
It's just got a lot of things that make it something that no matter whom you are and no matter what country you're from and watching this movie, you can relate to what is happening on some level and aspects.
Right. And we were a little surprised that there was no English dub on here, because usually that's an option unless it's a really obscure movie and there just isn't one that existed. However, when we watched the film, we were finding out that about probably 30 or 40 minutes into the film, they actually start speaking English for some of the characters that are born outside of the East, and like they were born maybe in America or other places, and then they can tell, and they actually switch to English.
Yes.
So they leave the subtitles up for you to read the entire time, but they switch between Japanese, Mandarin, and English.
Yes. And that was really interesting, and it actually made the movie more enjoyable because we hadn't seen that done before.
Mm-hmm. And that actually does make it easier for you to watch in case you're concerned about it maybe moving too fast or something. But it goes at a really slow pace, not so slow that it drags on, but it's enough so you keep up and you're getting involved in the story. You can pay attention to what happens and feel like it's going too fast or dragging. It goes at perfect pace, and you get to see the story unfold, and its timing is very excellent. It doesn't feel like it's too long. It doesn't feel like it's cut short. It doesn't feel like something's left unsaid or they made a plot hole. It seems to be a very well told movie and story from start to finish.
Yes.
Like something that could happen really in real life,
and
too.
It says that it was actually written by Eric Koo, and it says it's his latest work. It's in a review by Cinema Galleries. So we're not familiar with his work, but having seen this, I would be interested in seeing some of his other movies. One thing that really stood out to me, and don't laugh, but in a lot of movies you watch now, or actually for probably the past 10 years or more, live action movies, the people don't eat the food. They pretend to eat, or as I always say, the Rory School of Acting from Gilmore Girls, they take a little bitty piece and they put it in their mouth and pretend they're chewing on it for 10 hours. What I really loved about this movie is that everyone in this movie actually ate the food that was prepared. We got to see the preparation. They explained to us the importance or the meaning behind the dish, how they came about the recipes, and then we got to see the recipes being prepared.
Right.
And then I actually ate the food.
Yeah.
That was one of the best parts of this movie, seeing people eating it and enjoying it. And I miss that when I watch movies. I love to see in movies people eat the food, it makes it more real.
Right.
And that was a really big part of the enjoyment of this movie, is seeing them enjoy the dishes that were prepared for us on screen.
Yes, and that's a great thing to point out, because we had learned, when they advertise the foods on TV here, it always looks different from what you actually order from the restaurant, and we find out that they make fake food and gloss them up digitally so it looks more appetizing. So even if they had intended to eat it, it says they can't eat it because it could make them sick, and it's like, then why are you having them trying to eat the food in the commercial? So in here, you can tell all the food is real. It's not fake. It's not staged. It's them making the food on screen and eating the food on screen. So the entire thing is authentic.
And looks delicious. I mean, everything they prepared looked tasty and looked like it would be fun to make yourself or to watch someone make. It's their specialty.
Right.
And again, that was really it was really a big part of the enjoyment of this movie. The story itself also was, because when it starts off, and we won't give away everything, but when it starts off, as you know, there's a death of the main character's father, and that's where it starts in. And we're like, okay, we didn't know where it was going to go, since that was how the movie began. But it doesn't dwell on it. It just kind of touches on it so that you understand why the main character wants to make the trip that he's going to make.
So,
A chef massage.
well, thank you. So yeah, as it goes on, you actually see them traveling too. It's not staged somewhere else in Japan or something, and then they pretend it's in the country, which we've seen them do for live action anime. They actually are traveling to Singapore to do the scenes there. And you're actually seeing the landmarks, and he goes by one of the pictures the mom was in, to know like where she was, possibly where she lived, and that's how he ends up finding some other relatives from her side that he didn't know about.
And I liked also, you could see where he lived, you could see the Japanese culture and the Chinese culture in the home.
Right.
And you could see how it was decorated, the furniture and different things, and you could see how the mom and dad had melded their cultures together.
Right.
Not only together as husband and wife, but also in their child.
Right.
Yeah, I loved it. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was really, really well thought out. And, as much as we talk about animation on here, it's really nice when you see that same passion put into live action. And I think this is probably one of those types of underrated films that really excels in everything in what it's doing. It may not be high action, high stakes, race against the clock type thing. It's just a really simple story, which is a lot like their anime movies.
Slice of life.
Right. Because I pointed out to Mom when we were watching, a lot of their movies, if they're not connected to anime like Demon Slayer, MHA, Jujutsu Kaisen or something, they tend to be slice of life or rom-coms or just romance, and they're like one-shot stories, and they're telling a person's journey or experiences or their development from the beginning to the end of the film. And it really deals with more existential things. And for here, it's similar, but rather than existential, it's more finding out about his family or his mom than he really didn't know. He only had the dad for years until he was gone.
And then he finds out there was a break in the relationship between his mother and his maternal grandmother. And that is a really painful part of this movie to watch. It happens in so many families every day around the world, but the way in which it's depicted here is very moving and it's heart-wrenching and it makes you really sad. The only thing that was the brightest part about it is that regardless of what happened, his mother never stopped loving her mother.
Right.
And the grandmother found out, that this is her grandson, and then the way she reacts, you're stunned. He finds the uncle first, and the uncle's really excited, and then you go on this journey with them, together on their journey, I should say, with them together, and then you see how it goes with his grandmother, and it's different. It's like two opposite sides of a coin.
Right.
I want to say quickly that if you're looking for this movie, it may be listed under Ramen Teh as well, TEH. It's the same movie. So if you see Ramen Shop or Ramen Teh, it's the same movie.
Right.
So, but it's really just a wonderful piece of art. And again, I'm really looking forward to maybe looking online, seeing can we find any more of Eric Ku's work.
Right.
Because this here is just fantastic. Playmaker was absolutely correct in saying this is one of the best movies ever. It goes up there in the top 10.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree. And every once in a while we like to see movies of all kinds. We like to see things outside of our genres that we prefer, because there's always something new you don't expect to like, and it's usually outside the things you're used to, whether it be high action or comedy or superhero or something. It's nice when you find a movie that is out of your comfort zone, but you still end up enjoying anyway, because it's so well written that just about anyone can enjoy it and learn from it. In this movie's case, it's really more of learning from it. And a lot of the movies they have that are slice of life try to teach these lessons to people, whether they're kids, teens, adults, or older, that, you know, some of the choices that people make may not be the best, and it's important to reconcile or to make amends before it is too late.
Absolutely.
Or you forget each other, or you wait on decades later before you finally make amends, then you don't even have time to spend on
anymore.
right. So I think this was that type of film, just no fancy element to push that in, but it was that type of movie where you really learn something from this, no matter where you are in the world.
And I'm glad you said that no fancy element. The way in which it was filmed was perfect. It wasn't high technicolor. I don't even know if they use that word anymore. It wasn't, you know, movie quality, theatrical quality, cinema quality. It was done. It was filmed in a different format that made it, again, more relatable. It looked like you were just seeing something that would happen where you live.
Right.
It didn't have bells, whistles, brightness, color, and all of that.
Right, or a big grand voiceover.
Exactly. It was so simply done. Again, it made it more relatable for you. Because it looked like you were just watching something that could have happened anywhere where you live, to people that you know. And the way it was filmed was really an important detail to think about in conveying the story. I think if it had been done, as you said, like a theatrical movie, where it was high-end, cinematic high-end, it would not have had the same feeling, and it wouldn't have had the same effect. It would have felt like it was staged. It would have felt like it was something that was meant to manipulate your emotions and things. But because of the way it was filmed, it didn't feel that way at all. You felt like you were just being invited in to be a part of the story. And again, that could happen anywhere to anyone that you know, anywhere around the world.
Right.
So if you've seen Ramen Shop or Ramen Teh, let us know what you think in the comments below. Did you like it, love it, hate it? Did it make a wonderful impression on you like it did on us? Did it make a difference to you in your life? Playmaker told us that when he and his mom watched it, they thought about different recipes and things that have been passed down in their family. And I thought about, I've been telling Rascal I'm going to make these ramen eggs for her.
Right.
I really got to make these ramen eggs, and we both were going, gee, I really would like some ramen right now. It just has, maybe a different impact in different ways. But I did think about what he mentions as well as recipes being passed down. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. And that made me a little sad as well in terms of that factor.
Right. So, if you haven't already, subscribe for updates and music videos on your favorite anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for this wonderful gift. We really enjoyed, and we hope to be open to the other works of Eric Ku, and hopefully they're just as wonderful as this film. Are there any films that you guys would like to recommend to us to watch that are live action that are like this or any other type of films or genres you love, let us know in the comments below. We'd be happy to check them out and then do a podcast on them as well.
Right. So, thank you so much for watching. I'm Oscar Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.